Africans are rise, stronger together.
I welcome you all to this occasion, the second public outing of I Will Give. Last year, our program was Giving is Living. For the year 2017, it is Stronger Together, Everyone a Philanthropist. The purpose of this meeting actually is to get people to buy into the concepts of giving. The concepts of I Will Give that we have developed, that you are all sharing with us, is that we must practically be our brothers and sisters keepers, particularly the less privileged.
If we decide to give a tenth of what we do and we expend on parties, on Ashwebi, and so many other irrelevancies that we take on in Nigeria, honestly, we would have been a lot scaled up higher when we were judged during the Millennium Development Goals.
You know, just recently at the just concluded experience, there was a press conference before, and there was something that was mentioned by the host, Pastor Paul Adifarasin, about the fact that when we talk about values that drive nations and cause nations to be exalted by righteousness, and he said some of you may argue and say, well, they're not necessarily Christians. If they're Japanese, it's Shinto. If it's the Arab League, I mean, they believe in Allah. The Chinese certainly are not shouting Jesus or having night vigils, and we are seeing their economies and their nations, as it were, exalted. And why is all of this happening? He said, they may not know the prince, but they are working the principles of righteousness. And one of the principles is about giving. Corporate social responsibility is about giving and working its way into true corporate integrity. It is what repurposes, as it were, the profit margins of what makes Bill Gates the richest, while others are following. What they use to compete is their giving.
So what we'd like to throw on the table for your discussions, if you may, is how do we increase the portfolio of corporate social responsibility in a manner that it will significantly impact sustainable development goals, bearing in mind that we have a goal target between 2016 and 2030.
How do we get them to give more? Because communities, local governments are usually depending on the corporates or the high net worth individuals to give.
From a corporate perspective, one of the things that will make us give more will be the results and the rewards and the impact of our giving. One of the things that a lot of givers do not do is to track their giving. And sometimes they just give things out as pure welfare. But you should do things more on a structured basis, on an impact basis, on a life-transforming basis. And then when you begin to see your giving earn results, it will encourage you to give a bit more.
Most of them in Kiari, for instance, there is hardly a day that they do not send heavy amount of money to the banks, millions. That's why you have a lot of the banks in Okeari. So I now told them that, look, if you put 500 together and you all decide that we're going to look for our own councillor, and you put your money behind that councillor, he or she will win the election, and you will have what you like, what you want. So we really have to go back to them, educate them, let them understand what it means to give, what benefits will come out from it. That we have not been doing. We have to start with educating them, awareness, serious awareness campaign. That's the way to go.
We encourage our children to have a mindset of giving, and please don't think that it is always about money, because I know, yes, everybody is tight these days. But like it was said, you check your wardrobe. I have a policy every 6 months. Anything that I haven't worn in 6 months, I'm not going to wear. And like I said, I haven't gone naked. I still have clothes. Do you understand?
Yes.
And they say God loves a cheerful giver. There's more joy in giving than receiving.
Yes.
You know, I mentioned earlier that we support the Sickle Cell Foundation. Over and above donating as an organization, we have donation boxes. We encourage staff to give. We are very vibrant in terms of personal outreach program.
And regardless of how bad things are, there's something that you can give. If you can no longer give 100 naira, maybe you can still give 50. But the truth of the matter is that that 50, from a spiritual point of view, becomes a seed that goes through your life and brings about a change and a turnaround to that recession. No matter how much or how poor you are, there's something you can give. You can give a smile, you can give a handshake, you can give a washing of plate.
We've also been told that anybody who wants to give wants to see results. So for those of us who are receiving too, we have an obligation to be accountable, to ensure value for money, and to demonstrate results. And someone responded thereafter and said, look, even if you are giving, it is good to track what you are giving. Yorubas would say that it's not good to see on Iregu. If you know what that means, it means that you don't give somebody and continue to tell the person, I gave you, I gave you, I gave you. No, this is not what we are saying. But it is necessary to give and understand the effect of what you are giving, so that you can either moderate it or increase it, or advise who you are giving to.
I'd like to invite now a woman whose heart has brought every one of us here, both in terms of her professional space and all of the trajectory of her experience, not just as a professional, but as a person giving to humanity, community, her gender, and creating, as it were, every one of us a very significant network of relationships, friendships that have come to an intentional place of doing something different with what we have. Dr. Professor Funlola Dari is an expression of everything that you can give a better applause for. A round of applause, please, for I Will Give Nigeria. Lola Dari, thank you.
And so I met one lady in a little hotel in London. And I was talking to her, about giving, and the way she responded, oh, this is very important, we must give, we must give. So I was so inspired by Chief Mrs. Nelson, so irrecoverably inspired by Chief Mrs. Nelson, that we can collectively give. So what do I want you to do? I think I'm very happy you're all here. What do I want you to do? I want you to go back and give and sign the commitment form that says, I will give you 3,000 naira a month. You want to give to education. You want to build health facilities. We want to build schools. But I found something that we want early learning. We want to give children education. So we've worked out 6 investment areas. 1, health. And I won't go to the details. Some of my NGO colleagues are here. I'm very happy to have Evidence for Action here. Wellbeing Foundation have been strong partners in doing this. And we started looking at how can we ensure that now that there's a recession, now that government has to invest in infrastructure so that this place is not so hot, we need to invest in infrastructure. There needs to be power, there needs to be roads. Ambode is not going to do it, or he doesn't have the money. So in the effect, while he's doing the roads the best as he can, he's doing infrastructure the best as he can, Fashola is struggling with power the best as he can, the money in Nigeria is not enough. Our 3,000 can bridge the gap. If 25% of the non-dependent population of Lagos will give, and the non-dependent population of Lagos is the age 18 to 65, whether you are in employment or not. So non-dependent population of Lagos gives me a population of about 13 million people in Lagos who are willing to give. Even if it is 300 naira from 13 million people in Lagos, and we can pull that, their 300 naira will go much further than even Dangote's money alone if he's not careful. And that is the goal of I Will Give.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I have to apologize on behalf of His Eminence, Mohammed Sahad Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto. Is here with us in spirit. Not only that, as his own deputy covering the entire South, he asked me to represent him here. by having this kind of program, we are helping humanity. We are helping the government. We are helping ourselves. And I promise you, I will give. Thank you very much.
We shouldn't leave the well-being of Africans in the hands of foreigners. Hardship was not part of God's intention for man. And we have to take responsibilities for our fellow human beings. The time is now. We can no longer afford to sit in our mansions, to drive in our big cars, in our Range Rovers, thinking we are safe. The future of our children is guaranteed. Some of us have enough stock for generations yet unborn. I am speaking tonight from my heart because I see a lot of suffering on the street.
We are going to kick off actual giving, and you can see that there has been a POS waiting for something to swallow since it has been standing here. And we are going to call on our first and chief sponsor, lead sponsor, Auntie Kemi Nelson, to come and kick off. And she has brought her ATM card. What is it saying?
Then we all can live. I say, when we give, then we all can live. Giving is living. Africans arise, stronger together. Let us lend a hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first, that is so. Could you raise up that receipt, please? A round of applause for her, please. So the POS will go around now, and I'm very happy. Okay, yes. I'm also told that
I want to